Hi spooky friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today I'm bringing you another Stephen King TBR. Last year I did 13 books that I wanted to read by Stephen King, and looking back at that video I have only read 3 during 2025. So we didn't really hit that goal. So for 2026 I would like to just do 6 books because I feel like I'm not really prioritizing Stephen King. I am reading a lot more diversely and a lot of different authors. So I think that's the reason why I didn't hit that goal in 2025. So this video is just going to be a really quick video where I outline the 6 Stephen King books I want to read in 2026. And do let me know in the comments if you've read them, which one would you suggest that I pick up first? Okay, getting into it. The first one I would really like to read is Christine. Now I have the Halloween edition just in there, and it's been on my list for like 2 years, and I just never gravitate towards picking it up. I know I need to read it because it's such a beloved book, and the story is very much shared in pop culture, and I just need to get to it. So I did tackle one big book from Stephen King last year, which was Bag of Bones. So I think Christine could be the next big book that I tackle, especially because it is on my TBR. It's the only book on this list that I actually own, so I think I really should get to that one. So the next book I would like to get to is The Dark Half. So last year I put out a video where I was telling you my favorite top 10 Stephen King books, and I asked my audience to kind of put their top 10 in the comments. And one thing I noticed was The Dark Half kept popping up. So that's why I've put it on this list. I feel like it is going to be a good one. I just need to want to pick it up. So yeah, that's the next one because a lot of people have said that it is one of their favorites in the top 10. So the next 2 books I have written down is to continue on a series. I started the Mr. Mercedes, I think that's what it's called, the Bill Hodgins series trilogy. I started that in 2025. So I read Mr. Mercedes, and I also put on my 13 books that I would like to read these 2, but I didn't get around to doing that. So I would like to finish that trilogy with Finders Keepers and End of Watch. I kind of just want to finish off series. That is one I started last year, so it would be really good to finish that, and then I can get reading some of his more recent stuff because I know a character in this series is a focus point for literally like 4 of his latest books, and I haven't read those because I haven't read this series or The Outsider and so on. So if I can finish this series this year, that means I'll be on a really good foot for tackling the other books that I need to get to. The 5th one is kind of a rogue one for me. This wasn't on my list last year, and I did notice it pop up in some people's top 10 in my comments, and it made me kind of look at it a little bit more, and I think it would be one that I might enjoy. I hope I enjoy. And that is The Colorado Kid. Now, I haven't gravitated towards this book whatsoever. I did read Joyland in 2025, and it was a hard case, the crime series. And I do believe The Colorado Kid is part of that. Even though they're not connected, they are, titled with that hard crime branding. So I think that I would like to get to this book because, like I said, some people have said it's on one of their honorable mentions or an underrated book that kind of stood out to them. And finally, the last book on this list is one that was on my 13 books in 2025, and it's Thinner. So Thinner is a book that was written in his Bachman stage, and it's a book that really does stand out to me. I wanted to read it last year and I never got around to it. So hopefully in 2026 I can get around to it. I don't know why. It kind of just stands out to me like a really interesting read, and I just want to get to it because it sounds very chaotic and something that I would enjoy. So I am aware that I didn't give you any sort of synopsis or any backstory into these books because it's Stephen King, and I assume that most of you already know what's going on in these books. And if you've read them before, you probably already know too. And so that is why I've only given you a brief look into my Stephen King TBR for 2026. When I decide to read them, you never know, you could be seeing some reading vlogs for Stephen King this year, especially if I want to tackle all of these, which fingers crossed that I do. But that is all the books that I want to be reading in 2026 from Stephen King. Let me know in the comments what Stephen King book is on your 2026 TBR. And with that, I'm going to sign off and I will catch you in the next one. But until then, keep your pages turning and embrace your darkness. Bye!